A fast-paced dramatic montage plays. Quick cuts of iconic Simpsons clips flash by, Lisa holding a 2026 inches sign, Donald Trump's presidency episode, the Lady Gaga Super Bowl performance, the Disney-Fox merger episode. These are overlaid with real-world news headlines and video clips that mirror them almost exactly. The music is initially the show's quirky, familiar tune, but warps into something more eerie and tense, underscored by the sounds of news broadcasts and data streams. For over 3 decades, a cartoon family from Springfield has entertained the world. But woven into the fabric of its satire is a bizarre and unsettling thread, an uncanny record of predicting the future. The montage freezes on Lisa's 2026 inches sign from the 2000 episode Bart to the Future. From presidential elections to tech catastrophes, The Simpsons has been right more often than seems statistically possible. Now, the show's gaze is fixed on a year. Is this merely the law of large numbers at work, or is there something more to the phenomenon that fans and skeptics alike call Simpsonian prophecy? The scene shifts to archive footage of early Simpsons writers' rooms filled with whiteboards and caffeine-fueled writers. A cultural historian explains the show's foundation. The Simpsons didn't invent satire, but it perfected a specific type, hyper-observant, scientific, and deeply informed. The writers were MIT graduates, comedy savants, and news junkies. They weren't predicting, they were extrapolating. On-screen graphics list the famous hits: the Trump presidency, 2000, the Ebola outbreak, 1997, the Higgs boson, 1998, the 3D printed food craze, and more. Each is shown in a side-by-side comparison with real events. A data scientist offers a skeptical counterpoint. With over 700 episodes, each containing dozens of jokes about society, technology and politics, you're throwing thousands of darts at the board of the future. Some are bound to hit. It's the sharpshooter fallacy. You draw the target after the dart has landed. The documentary then takes a deep dive into the specific 2026 inches reference. Clips from Bart to the Future play. We see Lisa Simpson in the Oval Office, stating, "As you know, we've inherited quite a budget crunch from President Trump." The scene depicts a bankrupt, chaotic America. The narrator continues, "The most tantalizing timestamp comes from the year 2000. In a flash forward, Lisa Simpson becomes president in 2026, inheriting a nation brought to financial ruin. It was a throwaway gag about the instability of a Trump presidency, 16 years before he was elected." A former writer or TV critic clarifies, "The Trump joke wasn't about predicting him, it was about the idea of a brash celebrity businessman as president being the ultimate absurdity." The date 2026 was likely chosen because it sounded impossibly far away. The irony is that the absurdity became reality, and now the clock is ticking towards that fictional presidency's aftermath. The segment ends with a montage of modern economic anxieties, debt ceiling debates, and political polarization, visually asking the question, so, is 2026 a specific prediction, or just a narrative placeholder that has taken on a life of its own? This act explores other elements from the show that seem to be building towards a future, like the one hinted at for 2026. It uses a split-screen analysis, comparing Simpsons clips to current tech and news. The narrator sets the stage. Beyond the presidency, The Simpsons' vision of the future offers other clues. Their 2026 may be a collage of predictions slowly assembling in our present. Clips play from the 1995 episode Smart House, where the Simpson family's home becomes a prison run by a malfunctioning maternal AI named PAT. A tech ethicist draws the parallel. The episode is a perfect allegory for our relationship with big tech and AI. We invited convenience into our homes. Now, companies know our habits, our voices, our purchases. The fear of a benign-seeming entity becoming a controlling prison isn't prediction. It's a warning we're actively navigating. This is juxtaposed with footage of modern smart homes, voice assistants, and serious debates about AI ethics and control. The documentary shows the famous clip from the 1998 episode When You Dish Upon a Star, where Homer passes the 20th Century Fox studio and a sign jokes about Disney buying Fox. The narrator notes, in 1998, this was pure fantasy. In 2019, it happened. The Simpsons now exists under the corporate umbrella it satirized. The cultural historian returns. They saw the trajectory, the homogenization of culture, the shrinking of creative ownership. By 2026, will we be living in a pop culture monoculture, endlessly recycling the same IP? The Simpsons itself is a relic in its own prophecy. Clips show Springfield's three-eyed fish, Mr. Primer, Burns' toxic indifference, and town-wide denial. The narrator points out that the show's 2106 isn't one of jetpacks, but of amplified human folly. The data scientist reframes it. This is where prediction becomes something else, pattern recognition. The writers identified enduring human and systemic flaws, corruption, short-sightedness, our love-hate relationship with technology. They didn't predict 2020, they predicted us. The tone shifts to examine why we are so captivated by this phenomenon. The screen fills with internet memes, YouTube supercuts titled Simpsons Predictions, and scrolling social media threads. A psychologist explains the human element. This touches on apophenia, the human tendency to find meaningful patterns in random data. When a show is as culturally embedded as The Simpsons, our brains actively look for connections. We forget the 99% of jokes that didn't happen and marvel at the 1% that did. It creates a narrative of destiny that is deeply comforting and unsettling at the same time. To prove the point, a quick humorous bloopers reel plays, showing Simpsons predictions that were wildly wrong, Kang and Kodos invasions, alligators in sewers as a major metropolitan issue, etc. The TV critic or media analyst sums it up. The 2026 prediction has become a modern myth. It's a story we tell ourselves about the chaos of the present, giving it a kind of narrative arc. It says, "We saw this coming. It was in the plan all along." It provides a bizarre sense of order in a random world. The 2026 inches sign is shown again, now feeling less like a date and more like a Rorschach test for our collective anxiety. The frantic pace slows. We see serene shots of animators at drawing boards, early character sketches, the simple act of creation. The documentary returns to the human hands behind the phenomenon. The narrator reflects. So what are we left with as 2026 approaches? Not a psychic blueprint, but something perhaps more valuable. The cultural historian offers the final analysis. The Simpsons wasn't a crystal ball, it was a mirror held up by the smartest, most cynical, and most compassionate people in the room. They reflected our impulses, our trends, our fears, and amplified them to absurdity. The final visual montage ends on a quiet, lingering shot of Homer Simpson, sitting on his couch, staring blankly at the TV as he has for 35 years. The narrator concludes, the show's true power wasn't in predicting specific events, but in understanding the human condition well enough to see where its currents might lead. The 2026 prediction is less a date on a calendar and more a question posed to us. Are we sleepwalking into a satirical future? For the final shot, the animated 2026 inches sign from the cartoon slowly dissolves into a live-action shot of a sleek digital calendar. The date flips with a soft electronic click from December 31st, 2025 to January 1st, 2026. The familiar Simpsons end credit music plays, but it is slowed down, rendered ominous and melancholic before fading to a single lingering piano note. The most accurate predictions are not of events, but of ourselves.